Hi everyone, welcome to another installment of the Parade Lap podcast. Today we're talking about the Bahrain Grand Prix. We're debating whether our podium is going to be bang on this time or a little bit different, so it'll be interesting to see. But what did you think of the race?
I thought it was definitely a step up from Japan. So, number one, I stayed awake during the whole race. And number two, it was at a much more reasonable time for me. I think, just
Mhm.
being in the UK, and it was an afternoon, Sunday afternoon kind of race. And I actually like watched it properly from start to finish and watched qualifying and stuff. So this was felt like a proper race weekend for me. And yeah, it was good. Oscar, I'm sure we'll get into it maybe as we chat. What a race from him. He just
Mhm.
dominated the whole weekend, not even just on the race day. It was like I think quite a few people said he was in a league of his own, and I thought that was definitely the case.
Mhm.
And then my other quick reaction on this is tire strategy. Oh my goodness. There was like so much going on between the softs and the mediums or the hards and who started with what and what different people had. And so I thought like that there was a lot of that in this race.
Yeah, I thought it was exciting. It made me realize how much I enjoy the night races, like when there's the track lights and stuff. They're just more interesting. And favorite part was the restart, just the sparks everywhere. When that's on a track, a nighttime race, love it. Like that's really cool. So that was probably my favorite part.
Is that the
Yeah.
case? Because there were sparks at the beginning too. There were so many sparks like flying from the cars, like even on that initial lap. And is it because it was happening at night? Is that why we saw it
I
so
don't know.
clearly? Or okay,
Oh, you see them anyway, but
yeah.
I just think when it's a bit darker and you've just got like the stadium lights and then the spark, but also on the restart, like they were all sparking.
Mm.
Um, so I don't know, it just made it look exciting. Shall we kick off with our podiums? Would you like to do your P3 first?
P3. Okay. Well, my my P3 was actually starting with the McLarens. Got my little McLaren car here, by the way, still. And I see you're in your papaya
I am.
color
I
today,
am.
ripping.
Had
So
to.
I actually said Lando's kind of like roller coaster of a race compared to
Mm.
Oscar's just, he was so steady, like exactly. So he was like a smooth operator in that race. And
Hmm.
I feel like just Lando's whole weekend was kind of like this, and his race was a bit of a roller coaster. So I think first of all, he qualified P6, which was a bit unexpected, and he was so deflated after those interviews. I watched his like post-qualifying interview, and I was just like, "Oh no, Lando!" And you could see it really affected him. So he was kind of in his head again, and I was wondering whether he was going to
Yeah.
bounce back on the next day, and he did. I thought that opening, the first lap, that start where he went from P6 to P3 was really really cool. So that was
Hmm.
great. But then you had a bunch of stuff with him where he did an early pit stop, I think, compared to other people. He was one of the first people in. You sort of, I was worried about his tires. Then he was behind Charles, like Charles, like for most of the race, trying to overtake him. After the restart, you had the two Ferraris in front of him, so he didn't manage to like go past them easily. And then chasing down George at the end, but not quite making it. So I
Hmm.
just feel like, yeah, he just had such a different race and also made a few like mistakes here and there. It wasn't, I mean, his 5 second penalty, oh, I forgot about that, like right at the beginning,
Yeah.
and Max kind of snitching on him to be like, Lander creeped forward. So, yeah, he had a lot going on. So I just feel like there was so many things there, and then Oscar was just cruising. So it was just
Hmm.
this really interesting dynamic between the two of them in that weekend. And but Lando finishing at the top, still at the top of the championship table, but only by 3 points because Oscar's now second. So it's just going to be really interesting, I think, between the two of them.
I think it's very fair to say that he didn't have an easy race. Like when you list everything like that, it's like, oh yeah, poor guy. Um, yeah, he did very well to get up to P3. And the like after race videos that the teams do when they get the like quick, how did it go? And he was just apologizing for not making it a 1-2.
Mm.
Yeah, it was a bit sad, but I think like it was good. Still points, still in the lead. So yeah, it's still good. It's still good.
Yeah, it is good. Yeah.
Um,
And
yeah,
what's your P3?
mine is a little bit different.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I will talk about McLaren later. But my P3 is I think my new favorite thing is watching Lewis and Carlos battle in any capacity. Um, I just love it. Like how I said in the last episode that
Mm.
I wonder if they think like that's my old car kind of thing. They must think that. The commentators were saying it as well. Like they point out like, oh, that's Lewis like replaced Carlos and stuff, so he won't let him pass easily, sort of thing. Yeah, but them fighting on track, I just think is so exciting to watch because even though they might be like best mates or get on perfectly well, it would have been your car otherwise. So yeah, I really enjoyed that part of it. Yeah, so
I yeah,
there was my P3. I like the drama of it.
it was dramatic. I know that exact bit where the commentators were coming in, and I think Lewis was trying to overtake Carlos, but Carlos was not letting him through potentially and was
Hmm.
blocking him. And then I think eventually, like Lewis got DRS and obviously moved past him. But yeah, and then there was this thing, and I did remember you talking about what do they think when they drive past their old
Yeah.
cars? Like is that my old car? So. No, I thought that was fun. Also Carlos did really well to qualify. He qualified really well. So
Hmm.
and out qualified Lewis, I think, when in the Ferrari. So that must have felt good for him, I think, in
Oh
quali.
yeah. I find that quite exciting. And yeah, it's always interesting to see where Lewis ends up.
Mm.
Um I really liked I think it was an interview going into the weekend and someone asked him like for the fans watching what um when will the magic happen that we're like what's the magic we're waiting for, like how long do we have to wait for it, and he just said don't and just like sit back and enjoy what's happening. And I really liked just how honest it was, and it was funny. He must just have so much pressure on him, like it's crazy. But I guess they all do, and that's what they sign up for. But yeah, I think Lewis and Carlos is going to be an ongoing. It's not even a beef. It's just fun to watch because you sort of think that there's potentially something going on there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
fell for Carlos because he, DNF, when he actually qualified so well. So that was sad to see.
Mm,
I know he had car damage because of Yuki coming and then sort of hitting him,
yeah.
that collision. But then yeah, Lewis did pretty well to go from P9 to P5. So, I was
Mm,
happy for that. But yeah, I look forward to seeing more battles and how they do going forward.
me too. Me
Yeah.
too. And speaking of two, what is your P2?
What's my P2? I said Haas, so
Nice.
they did well. I did say in my predictions that I thought Williams and Haas would do better than expected this season.
Yeah.
We're only 4 races in now, but it's good. Like they're both doing well. Williams not so well in this race, but Haas did well. Both of them ended up in the points. So Esteban and Ollie. And Ollie went from, P20, he was last on the grid, to getting, finishing P10 and beating out a lot of other rookies. And I thought that was really well done for him and in the Haas. So, and then Esther, like Ocon, there was a few, he had Pierre like in front of him, and they were obviously all teammates previously with a lot of history
Hmm.
and have had like close contact before. But yeah, I just thought that was really good, and I thought well done to them, especially because Ocon, he in quali, like he crashed, he crashed out and he didn't start very well. So just from
Yeah.
both of them, like a really good recovery, to finish that. And I think now Williams and Haas are actually like P5 and P6 in the drivers in the constructors, sorry, championship after 4 races.
Hmm.
But still, that's
Hmm.
that's decent for them. So yeah, I'm hoping that
It's
prediction of
exciting.
mine stays and we see them both of those teams doing well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. I am rooting for Haas. Like I think it'd just be cool to see them do well. Yeah. And I really like Ollie. I think he's very cool. So I'm excited for him.
Hmm.
Yeah. My P2 is different again. Um, my P2 is that Oscar is on top again. Very happy about it. But mostly it's that he got pole position. Like last time he got pole position and it was like, whoa, it was his first one. I thought he had more. He just got a second one just easily.
Hmm.
Like it just it was so natural to him. I just think that's so cool that like it was a really big deal last time and now it's just almost a given. Yeah, and for his like 50th race, I just thought it was so cool that he just like rounded out with a, like you said earlier, like a perfect weekend. Yeah, he was just unstoppable, and it's just so cool. I liked at the end of the race when he was going over the line, and you could see him like putting his fist up, like he was like excited. You may not hear that he's very excited. You hear that he's grateful for the team and he like had a cool day, but you could like physically see him happy and proud about it. So I really liked that because any kind of glimpse you get of proper emotion from him, I think is it's good entertainment because it doesn't come that often. Yeah, yeah. So that is my P2. That Oscar Piastri is on top again.
Yeah, he's just doing so well. Like I think it's one of those things when people find form and then there's like this momentum and you keep at it and then it builds basically, and then you get that confidence. I'm sure he's always had obviously confidence in his ability,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just like, oh, okay, yeah, right. I can get pull, I can convert it to a win, I can do this twice.
Yeah.
I can keep going. And so yeah, I think that's probably I just think we're going to see so much from him. That's why I'm so interested. So when I was saying like, Lando's like roller coaster and Oscar just going thing, I'm so interested to see how that sort of meant the way you approach it and talk about it and all of these things comes into play with the two of them like going forward because they are quite different in that regard in terms of showing emotion and
Mm,
just letting you into I think you don't see that as much from Oscar, but then people are like, oh, that's why he's gonna be a world champion. He's got this really like, he's got the mindset for it.
mm,
And I saw a lot of memes also comparing him to like Kimi Räikkönen in terms
mm-hmm.
of how he is with, like Oscar, if he wins the race or he loses the race, it doesn't, it's just like the same kind of reaction. You don't,
Yeah,
or facial expression, you don't see much more.
yeah.
But yeah, he was so good. Yeah, just really, really good. And yeah, I I think I mean he could be our world champion at the end of this.
That would be very cool. Yeah, I wonder if maybe a little bit further through the season, if we not do like another prediction, but maybe lock in our choice of who we
Oh.
definitely think will be, something like that. Like
Yeah.
we need to give ourselves a checkpoint and then go, okay, my money is behind whoever. Yeah, because I think after a few more, I mean, there's so many in the season, but after a few more, I think we might get just a little bit more of an indicator on. I feel like mostly which way McLaren will maybe lean, like in
Mm,
terms of who they back a little bit more, just based on performance. But yeah, I don't know. It could be either, but it would be very cool if it was Oscar. Yeah. So we'll see what happens. But
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So it was a good race for that regard because it's sort of a bit of a sneak peek into what could come.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that was your
P2.
P2
Mm-hmm.
about Oscar's phenomenal weekend. And my P1 was George and Mercedes. So yeah, oh my goodness, we've been joking about this or talking about him, how he's just like suddenly there and like
Yeah.
capitalizing or at a P4, P5 and then just kind of waiting for something to happen and then he swoops in and he does it. But I think this race was different because he wasn't just waiting on the sidelines. He actually, like in quali, he set such a good lap. Like it was a flying lap and it was, I think he was provisional pole and then Oscar took it, so it was
Mm-hmm.
P2 and then had to go down to like P3 because of after quali when they gave those penalties to Kimi and him. But yeah, that he like he did well. I feel like he was proactive about stuff and actually like went in there and like showed people that the Mercedes could do very well.
Mm,
And then yeah, on race day, just also, getting himself into P2, and staying there, and I think even and then a bunch of things happening to him, but he still managed to hold on to it. There was, they put him on the soft, so they put him on soft tires, and there was still like 24 laps to go. And I think his message was like, "Oh my gosh, that's audacious," or something. Like, how do you think that I can do this? When the others were on mediums or hards.
yeah.
Um, and he managed to do it, and he sort of fended off Lando towards the in the last few laps. And also, he had so many issues with his control and his transponder. So actually, what was happening in this race is you didn't actually know how far people were from each other, because I think his thing wasn't working. There's problems with DRS. And at the end, they told him like, "Oh, your dashboard or whatever, those things are all gonna go off, but don't worry, we'll like tell you what to do. Just keep driving." So
Mm,
I've seen some of the memes to be like, "Oh my gosh, like George's dashboard or whatever was like everything going." And even at the end, they were thinking about potentially he might have a penalty or something because he put DRS on by mistake, but he was apparently pressing his radio button or something and then activated it, and he didn't know it was going to do that. So it was just crazy, and he
mm,
managed to still get to P2. So I thought that he did very well. And I saw a meme where it says like, previously like George does nothing and it's P3, but now he did everything and it was
mm,
P2. Um,
yeah.
and I thought he did do that.
Yeah, I was just gonna say pretty much that we sort of joked that he's Mr. Consistent, which is a good thing. But that he kind of just ends up there, and he's obviously doing well to do that. But this time it was maybe like a little more just genuine that you just believe like, yes, he got P2 and he did deserve it because he did this, this, and that. Like, yeah, it wasn't a coincidence this time. It's
Mm.
like, oh, George did very well, and then Kimmy did as well. Like they're doing well as a team in terms of scoring points. Like it's
They
cool to see.
are. Yeah, I thought Kimmy did so well in qualifying. And I was just sad that he didn't end up in points for this race. I actually had to double check that. I was like, what? No, he qualified so well. He
Mm,
drove well and then somehow managed to be outside of the points. But yeah,
mm.
he was doing really well too.
Yeah, yeah, they're exciting to watch. My P1 is based more on qualifying. So very happy that Oscar was on top this week for sure as my P2. But Pierre Gasly was my guy this week. I was so excited by his qualifying result. Like that's just awesome. In front of Lando, in front of Max, fifth. That was just cool. P5. It's nice to see Alpine doing well and just yeah, someone a little bit new up the top of the order. It keeps things interesting. Yeah, so Gasly.
Yeah. I put
Mm,
him down as one of my other like highlights for that race, and it was also
hmm
because of the qualifying. I just thought, wow, like he did really well to put that Alpine like out in front of so many people. And I think
hmm
with Kimmy's George and Kimmy got a one spot penalty after that quality. So I think Pierre actually started P4 in the end, like
hmm
from P5 to P4. So that's an amazing start for him, to have
mm.
done that. So yeah, really good. And also Doohan looked pretty decent also in that race. I don't know if he ended up with points or he was slightly outside of the points, but it looked like he was going to secure. Uh
14th he got.
yeah, 14th in the end, but
Mm,
for a lot of that race it looked like he was kind of in there or potentially maybe going to get something. So I thought he also did better. But yeah, Pierre did so well in the
mm.
Alpine for that race.
Yeah, yeah, it's just fun to see. So I thought that was a deserving P1. I hope it happens again, but yeah, for this week that was my P1.
Yeah, I thought definitely Pierre really that was a good one. I felt really good for him, and hopefully we can see him sort of like qualifying high up in the other races also going forward.
Yeah, a little more consistently. That would be
Yeah.
exciting. Yeah. Do we have some honorable mentions? Other things you've mentioned a few things that were lower on your list.
Yeah, I think I was thinking about Pierre. I thought Yuki did well to get points. So, he was in the Red Bull for the first time with all that controversy, obviously in Japan. And now in his second one, he managed to get the Red Bull into the points. And I think also from listening to Max, it wasn't a great car to drive, even for Max. Max was complaining so much. So
Hmm.
for Yuki to end up with points, I think that was, which I think is P9. Yeah, that was good
P9.
after all of that. And I think it's maybe the first time they've had both the Red Bulls in the points since the start of the year. So I thought that was good.
Yeah. Yeah. I have an honorable mention, and oh, I already said my favorite part was the sparks on the restart, but my other favorite part was Ollie Bearman's team radio at the end of the race, where it was his dad, and he came on and said, yeah, just that he'd done a good job. And then so he's just talking to his dad, and he's just thanks, dad. And then all of a sudden, another voice starts talking, and it's his brother. But he did like when his dad's started speaking on the radio, he said it's dad. And then his brother started talking, and he just said something cheeky about like, "Oh, you did it for the points finish" or something like that. And he just automatically knew it was his brother, like being cheeky. It was I liked that. And then team principal got on the radio as well, and he just said, "Oh, everyone's here." Like I liked that. As soon as I saw that, I thought, "Oh, I'm writing that one down. That was cute."
That's
Yeah, I
nice.
really liked it. It was just so normal to see. Like it was just like family dynamics, but he's a Formula One driver and the whole world can see, can hear that interaction. So I thought that was quite fun.
That is fun.
Mm,
I think the other one that I had, I don't know if you listened to it too, Sophie, was the cooldown room chat. So between George and Lando and Oscar, and I thought that one was quite a funny one this
mm,
after this race. And I thought it was also funny where Lando was watching himself, I think, trying to overtake Charles and making a mistake, and he was just like, "Oh, what a muppet!" Like, to himself. Like,
yeah,
it's like just
yeah.
looking at like, oh, that wasn't the greatest move that he made. So, and there were a few other comments in there that were quite funny with the three of them.
It was quite a good cool down room. I like at the end of the cool down rooms, how they almost get scored by the I was going to say the judges by the commentators at the end, but they basically do become judges and they go, that was a good installment. That was a good episode.
Yeah.
Because they have been entertaining, really. I think when the McLarens are in there, either of them or if both of them are, it makes for a good cool down room. So they're
Yeah.
cool to watch. Yeah.
There were quite a few memes. I don't know if you saw them about George kind of stripping off his shirt and like changing it right there in the cool down room. And people were like, "Oh my gosh, the guy thinks he's at home, like, just like getting changed on screen." So
Yeah.
there's definitely a few of those. And I think George also posted Lando in a sort of like compromising position in that cool down
Yeah.
room. So I don't know if Lando knew that he was going to do that, but he did.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess they don't sign off on each other's photos, do they? Because they're just like mates or work colleagues kind of thing. So you would just have photos of whoever in your camera roll, and then as you're doing a photo dump or whatever,
Just post them. Yeah,
just posting them because you think they're funny, and then forget like, oh, they've got like 8 million followers, they've got 4 million, like, yeah,
exactly.
it's funny.
Yeah.
But yes, that was a surprise in the photos afterwards. One thing I did notice as well, and I think because it was a night race, it's sort of just you kind of forget about it, is how hot it is there.
Mm,
So they're all like the photos of Oscar is like what made me think of it, just visibly quite sweaty. And then it's like, oh yeah, no, they're in Bahrain. Like it makes perfect sense. And they were just driving a car for however long. So they're yeah, overheating. But you sort of forget about it almost as you're just watching, like focusing on certain parts of the racing or whatever.
mm.
Yeah, so it's kind of funny.
I think those were all the things. I was hoping for Ferrari to like make an impact, have a podium this race, but we didn't see it. They did quite well, I think, in the end. I think
They
it
got
was
close.
P4 and P5, right? Yeah, for Charles and
Hmm.
Lewis. That was good, for them, but just really hoping to see a breakthrough and be like, okay, let's get on the podium. Charles got really close to it. But
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I thought he was going to get on the podium.
Mm,
He like just it sounded like he was going to get there. Like, yeah, it's a bit of a bugger, but it's also keeps it exciting in terms of points that Lando was the one to pass him. But maybe next time. Ferrari will be around. I feel like when they do get on the podium, it's either going to be Charles in P3 or they're going to have a double podium and be like
Oh, it's going to be
two and
big.
three
Yeah.
or one and three or
Yeah.
whatever. Either they sneak in or they take it over completely.
Yeah.
So I don't know what track my money is on for that happening, but be cool if it was Monza or something like that.
Yeah.
See what happens.
Okay, well, I guess meme of the week.
My one wasn't really a meme. It was a TikTok that I saw, and it was first off the George Russell posting the lawnmower collaboration was one of I mean good on him, but one of the weirder things I have watched of them like advertised. It was so serious, and you had to watch the whole thing because it was just a little bit bizarre. Um, yeah, and there's been lots of like lawnmower talk recently with Formula One cars, just sort of when they go on the grass, it's like the lawnmower reference or driving a tractor kind of thing. So it's kind of fitting. So I saw a TikTok and it was like a promotional video of a lawnmower, like a really like stylized one. It was quite cool. And then it just said like F1 teams like going into marketing meetings from now on. It's like that's their pitch. Yeah, I found that quite funny. But I think that's because I am a marketing person that I
Oh,
thought
yeah.
that was entertaining. But yeah, it wasn't like a proper meme. It was yeah, just a TikTok. I enjoy seeing what people make on TikTok after races.
Oh, wow.
Mm,
I also saw that ad and I thought, okay, I thought it was good timing because it was straight
mm,
after, was it, yeah, Japan, where like one of the most exciting things was obviously Lando going onto the grass and
mm-hmm,
like Max saying, oh, that's an expensive lawnmower. So I was like, okay. So it was
mm.
good timing because it was very relevant. But I was like, did they just release this or did he do this commercial? He obviously had done it previously and then they decided
Yep.
to release it then. So
Yeah.
would they have just released it anyway? Because I think without that incident, it would just have
Yeah.
been it is a random ad. I watched it too and I was like,
Very
oh,
random.
okay, this is like it was only really like a bit funny because of that. But otherwise it would have just been really random. So that was really
Yeah.
interesting where I was like, I wonder when they planned on releasing this. And that was really good for them that it was at
Yeah.
that moment. Yeah.
It must have been pre-made because it looked like it was filmed in
Mm-mm.
Monaco. But I would like to think that they were waiting for this exact thing to happen.
How long would
And
they
then
been waiting
like
for? Yeah.
yeah, I hope that's how it worked. And then they said like we're doing it next week. Like we have to do it now. That's way more fun to think about it that way around than just it was
Uh,
planned for that day.
yeah, like the marketing team saying, okay, if there
Yeah,
is a sort of
we're
like
in.
lawnmower type thing, it's a go, it's green. And if
Yeah,
not, we will definitely release it by this date. So,
yeah,
that's the thing.
yeah. I really
Yeah.
liked how his number was on it, like a sticker. I really liked that part, and it also made me think, like, I'm sure that George in his house does have his race number on lots of things. Like, I don't know, like I can sort of imagine him having like
He seems
a
seems
really
like the
nice
type, yeah.
cutlery set or something that has a little 63 on like the handle and things like that. I hope he does.
I would put money on the fact that he has at least something that's not
Yeah.
like not necessarily Formula One related that has his race number on it.
Yeah.
My that was a good one. Mine's also George related, so I think he definitely has come through as a topic of discussion this week. But my meme, I don't know if you can see it, is this one of uh, George doing his pose, which
Love it.
he brought back for this year. So it's obviously a meme previously, with him doing that thing, and then he
The
brought
T
it back.
pose.
Yeah, he brought it back for the opening sequence, and I just think it's a perfect one with Oscar on this side and Lando on that side, and then George obviously keeping the two of them apart from that
Yeah.
one too. So yeah, that was
Because
that was mine.
that's what he did, right? Like he really was hanging in there and he did.
He did.
Yeah.
He got it done in the end. So yeah, kept them from doing that. So I thought that was a funny one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
I like how full circle his T pose has become. Um, because it was just something that the Cameron people or whoever doing the title sequence made him do. And they've all said that they all had um photos of them taken in the same way. Like there's a bank of them somewhere, so I hope they'll
Hmm.
release it at some point. That would be so funny. But he's just embraced it, and like it's cool that then and things like that, it actually applies to him really well. Like it wouldn't have. I can't imagine that being anyone else,
Mm.
and it coming up as often as it does. So I'm happy that that's his thing, and it's cool that he finds it entertaining and he makes an effort to do it more often. It's cool.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean there were quite a few memes, but I'll choose that one. I think
Nice.
one of them was also around like the Haas's being in the top 10, like with the polar bear and being like, what the hell is
Yeah,
what are both the Haas's doing in the points?
yeah,
Quite shocked with that. So yeah, there
yeah.
were a few.
It's cool though. It's very cool.
Hmm.
Where is our next race happening?
Saudi.
Saudi.
Yeah, I think Saudi, and that's the last of the triple header. So
It
we've had
is.
three back to back, so that's the last one. So
Thoughts
yeah, I
going
think
into that?
I could like a little, they asked, I think, Zach about that. What does he think? And obviously he mentioned that it's a very fast track, so
Mm-hmm.
it's one of those ones that are really quick, and he seemed positive going into that one. Obviously, I think they're doing so well. I think McLaren are going to do well again. And I
I
think,
hope so.
I think it's probably going to end up being Oscar again. Although you don't know, right? It depends who qualifies well. I think actually with the two of
Mm-hmm.
them, it really depends who has a good qualifying.
Mm-hmm.
Because the car is fast, so the car is definitely quick. So if you can get into pole, I think that really puts you at an advantage with the
Definitely.
McLarens. Yeah, so I think that's about all I can say going into this one. Although it's been interesting seeing like Pierre do well, the Haas has come in, Carlos was P6. I'm interested and curious to see what happens with him next race actually. So it seemed
Mm-hmm.
like he qualified well, if he didn't have that problem with Yuki and that sort of incident, what would he have finished at? And so,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm really interested to see what happens with him next race, actually.
Yeah.
And then still curious about the Ferraris. Like, when will this race be where we see something from them? So, that's sort of the things I'm thinking about. But besides thinking that McLaren's going to win, I don't know what else, what my podium, I guess, would be for the next
Mm,
race. What about you?
mm. I'm looking forward to Saudi. It's one of the tracks, I mean, they're all very fast, but it's one of the tracks where I get a little bit scared, maybe a little bit more nervous to watch because it is just so tight. Like
Yeah.
it is a scary one to watch. So I think it will be exciting regardless. I I think it'll be a McLaren win again. I think I'm going to back Oscar as well for this one. Maybe Oscar, Lando, and then maybe a Ferrari. Charles, I'm thinking.
Mm,
I don't know. We'll see. I would really, really like, as just a bonus little prediction for the race, I'd like Jack Doohan to get a point. I would like him to come 10th or something and get a point. That would just be really cool. Yeah, or yeah, some of the rookies just to do well. I think you're right. Like there's just been a few standouts that are a little bit random, so it'll be interesting to see how they all mix together. Yeah, I feel like maybe there might be bit of action, maybe crash wise potentially, because it is very tight and it's one
mm.
of the places where something happens at the start. But I think it'll be a good one, and then have a little bit of a break for a while, and yeah, regroup.
Regroup, exactly.
Mhm.
I'm gonna say I hope it is sort of what you're saying with like, McLaren 1, 2, and then a Ferrari third. And I kind of hope it's Lewis. So
Mhm.
obviously, he has, I guess, been struggling and not as on form as Charles in the Ferrari, but let's see. I'm gonna hope, and maybe something happens, and
Mm.
we see him taking his like sprint pole, and sprint win that he had from I think China,
Mhm.
into this race and actually doing something. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah, we'll see what happens.
Mm.
I think it'll be a good one though. I'm excited for it. Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Mm.
I'll be traveling actually when that race is happening, but
Uh-huh.
I will definitely watch it and
Hmm.
we will debrief and see how it goes. But yeah, it's been like back to back. It's really quick,
It
it's like
has.
boom, okay, we're basically in race week again. So it's really fast. I can only imagine how the drivers and all the teams feel like it is a circus, right? You pack up and then you go and then you're
Hmm.
traveling to these really far away places. So it must be really, really intense.
Hmm. I'll be looking forward to a little bit of a holiday.
Yeah, yeah.
Brief break. Mm.
Brief break. Exactly.
Well, I feel like that's all our talking points for Bahrain. Yes.
Hmm.
That was a good one. And we'll be back for the next one, to talk about Saudi. So we'll see you at the next one.